Now at 9, we'll look at legislation in Missouri that aims to improve recruitment for police departments. And Kansas Governor Laura Kelly pushes the Department of Revenue to fast-track a plan to provide relief to farmers affected by wildfires.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Missouri lawmaker has pre-filed a bill aimed at getting more people into the state's police force without any barriers. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with Representative Lane Roberts, who says this could help not only the state, but the southwest Missouri area.
Missouri Representative Lane Roberts knows what it's like to be a police officer in the Show Me State after his time as captain of the Joplin Police Department.
The approach that Missouri takes to police academies is a little bit unique in the nation. In most states, there is a police academy, one, and it often has a couple of branch campuses, but it's one academy. Here we actually have nearly 20.
Roberts says he's seen people join the police academy not because they necessarily wanted to, but because they had the money to do so.
So in any graduating class, you may get 30 graduates, but maybe half of them actually have a long-term future. And it's a deterrent. There are a lot of people that I think have the aptitude and frankly can't afford to go to the academy.
It's tricky because even after finishing the academy, officers will then need to find employment.
But what happens is when they're done, they have a $6,000 investment with no guarantee of a job.
It's why the lawmaker has pre-filed House Bill 1703 to address the financial inequities many face when trying to become a police officer.
But it's not to everybody. It's only those who successfully find employment, remain employed for 4 years, and they're allowed then to make a request for reimbursement of 25% of their academy costs every year for 4 years, which gives them a complete reimbursement. It doesn't exceed $6,000.
Roberts says he hopes the bill, if passed, can ultimately get more police officers to the area.
There's an awful lot of people here that I think would like a career like that.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Roberts says the bill aims to address worker shortages any police departments face. A months-long investigation leads to the arrest of 3 people for drug distribution in Barton County, Missouri. They are Alan Folk, Holy Folk, and David Elliott, all from Lamar. The folks are charged with delivery of a controlled substance and child endangerment. Elliott is charged with possession of a controlled substance and child endangerment. The man who played Buzz McAllister in the classic Christmas movie Home Alone is accused of assaulting his girlfriend in an Oklahoma hotel room. Police reports say Devin Rattray flew into a rage after his girlfriend passed out his autographs to fans in Oklahoma City free of charge. Police say Rattray was drunk when he choked his girlfriend and told her, quote, "This is how you die," and then punched her in the face. Rattray is charged with domestic assault and battery and assault by strangulation. Doug, heading more warm weather ahead of us.
Yeah, another pretty good day for us today. Even though we had the clouds all day long, it was windy, but we still made it up to 60 degrees during the afternoon, about 15 degrees above our norm. In fact, we started this morning where we should be topping out during the afternoon. But again, a lot of clouds, nothing underneath these clouds, but clouds will stick around tonight through the first half of the daytime hours for us tomorrow. Temperatures mainly low to mid 50s. We're at our overnight low. In fact, we're going to rise through the overnight hours due to southerly winds, which are kicking in across the region. So by morning, 58, record highs tomorrow, 76. But big changes down the road. We'll look at that here in just a bit.
See you then. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly today called on the Department of Revenue to extend the sales tax exemption for fencing materials and services to aid in the recovery from this year's wildfires. Just this month, fires burned more than, hundreds of thousands of acres in the western part of the state. The governor said in a statement, quote, "Kansas farmers and ranchers are the backbone of this state, and the devastating wildfires they experienced last week have taken an enormous toll on their livelihoods." If you want to try your hand at catching one of those giant paddlefish in Missouri next year, well, you better check the new regulations approved by the state's Conservation Commission. For starters, the statewide minimum length for a keeper will be 32 inches, measured from eye to fork. That's up from the current minimum of 24 inches for most areas of the state. These monsters can grow up to 7 feet long and weigh more than 100 pounds. That new regulation and others take effect on February 28th. You can find the new rules at KOAMnewsnow.com. It's a case you don't see every day. A Central Missouri man is jailed without bond after allegedly using a crossbow to attack a neighbor. Fulton, Missouri police were called to a home to help a 42-year-old man who had been shot in the abdomen with an arrow from a crossbow. No word on his condition tonight. Investigators say a 63-year-old got into a verbal altercation with the victim before using his crossbow to attack him. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Staff Sergeant Thomas Scott served in the U.S. Army in 1944 and 1945. The Baxter Springs, Kansas native served our nation in Europe during World War II. His medals include a Silver Star and a Bronze Star. Staff Sergeant Thomas Scott, a four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, gas prices are already a pain for drivers, but they could be going even higher next year. We're going to tell you about the event today that could lead to a price hike.
Well, it turned out to be another nice day for us today. We didn't get the sunshine, but at least temperatures right around 60 degrees during the afternoon. We're going to set record highs tomorrow. The record is 73, and we should blow right on past it. So really warming up. We do have a storm system on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, next Saturday, so it gets really active. We're still watching for some possible snow chances late next week. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast, my month-long blog, that is KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at this month, all the red days above normal, which is kind of crazy. Majority of the month has been above normal. We're going to add another one in here, and here, and here, here, over the next few days, so it's going to stay pretty warm. Outside, right now, nice shot, Indigo Sky, Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. We're pretty much at our overnight lows. We're going to really hold steady. These southerly winds are going to start picking up. We may drop a degree, and then I think we'll start to climb as we go through the rest of the overnight hours. Look at these south winds all day long, 10 to 20, so it was breezy, but these will start to pick up over the next couple days. Looks pretty good, 7th and range line, mid-50s. Right now, we have the clouds, nothing underneath them, so we'll stay dry, but the clouds are going to stick around as we go through the overnight hours tonight as we get the beginnings of our next storm systems out to the west. We still have this ridge of high pressure, but you can see these storm systems building. The jet stream takes a dip to the west of California, something we haven't seen in several weeks. So we're in that stretch of the pattern that gets really active over the next 3 weeks. Let's go ahead and break it down. Clouds tonight, near 60 by the morning. I think we'll be into lower 70s by noon. I think we'll go into the upper 70s during the afternoon. Our western counties may press 80 degrees. It's Christmas Eve, which is kind of crazy. 58 to start, 72 by noon. High temp of 76. Look at the south winds, 15 to 25. Gusts are going to be higher than that. As we go into tomorrow night, we get some clouds, may get a few showers in our northern counties, and then this will push right on by. We get a cold front Christmas Day. I still think we're going to go into the 60s, though, for highs on Saturday. Now, it is going to be windy. Anytime it gets this warm in December, you get this, very windy conditions, winds gusting 40 to 45 miles per hour again tomorrow. So if you haven't locked down the trash can, you may want to find it. You may want to put it in the garage. Let's go into Sunday. Next system, showers late, cools down a little bit. Here comes our next system on Tuesday. This will be interesting. We may get an Arctic front with this, at least briefly, Wednesday into Thursday, but the Arctic air lingers to our north. So it'll be interesting as we get a big system right around New Year's to see if that's going to be rain, freezing rain, sleet, or snow. 76 tomorrow, 62 Saturday, 68 on Sunday. A little bit cooler on Monday, back to 67 with some thunderstorms on Tuesday, cooling back down, rain Wednesday and Thursday.
76 degrees for
on Christmas
Eve.
Isn't that crazy?
We're in the 4 states.
Yeah, you can wear shorts and a t-shirt tomorrow.
Yes, that's true. Santa might be doing that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Coming up, jurors reach a verdict in the trial of Kim Potter, the former police officer from Minnesota who says she meant to use her taser when she shot a man. Revelers ringing in the new year at Times Square will now need to mask up. Mayor Bill de Blasio announced plans for a scaled-back New Year's Eve celebration. This comes as the Omicron variant of COVID-19 spreads at a rapid pace nationwide. 58,000 people usually attend the ball drop and celebration in Times Square. This year, it's going to be limited to 15,000. Visitors can't get in until 3 p.m. and as announced before, everyone over age 5 must be fully vaccinated. Jurors reach a verdict in the manslaughter trial of ex-Minnesota officer Kim Potter. Garrett Tenney is outside the courthouse in Minneapolis with the story.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
An outcome reached in the country's latest racially charged murder trial. Ex-Brooklyn Center, Minnesota police officer Kim Potter found guilty on charges of first and second degree manslaughter in the April death of 20-year-old Dante Wright after she says she mistook her gun for her taser during a traffic stop. The 6 men and 6 women of the jury taking over 27 hours of deliberations to decide her fate.
The jury looked at the fact that a life was lost and she was in the position of power that took that life.
Jubilation outside court after the verdict was read. On Tuesday, jurors asked the judge what would happen if they couldn't reach a verdict, and she told them to keep working towards an outcome. That question came just a few days after Potter took the stand in her own defense.
And nothing happened.
Getting emotional as she claimed the deadly incident was a mistake, not a crime.
We were struggling. We were trying to keep him from driving away. It just went chaotic.
Her attorneys argued Wright was attempting to flee during the traffic stop, a move they say led to his own death. But prosecutors told jurors the 49-year-old officer acted recklessly and negligently, and that making a mistake is not a defense.
She knew she had a loaded gun on her duty belt, a gun that she carried every single day on the job.
Potter is facing up to 15 years on the more serious first-degree manslaughter charge, and prosecutors say they plan to push for a sentence close to that. In Minneapolis, I'm Garrett Tenney, Fox News.
Potter was remanded to the court held without bail until sentencing. A blast at a Texas oil refinery today could push gas prices even higher. The blast and resulting fire at the ExxonMobil plant happened in the Houston area city of Baytown. At least 4 workers were injured. The facility is one of America's largest refineries, and the accident could hamper output for months. The average price for a gallon of regular gas now stands at $3.29 per gallon. That's down 11 cents from a month ago. However, prices are still up about 47% from a year ago. There is good news for drivers. For now, the incident won't immediately send gas prices higher. Experts say the average price per gallon could rise to $4 in much of the country, but not until this spring and summer. That's mostly because the next 6 weeks is historically the period of lowest demand for gasoline nationwide. Oil consumption could reach record levels in 2022. Even though companies are trying to be more eco-friendly, the International Energy Agency is predicting global oil demand will increase by 3.3 million barrels per day next year. That would match the pre-pandemic demand record in 2019. The IEA also says it expects road transportation fuels to continue to post a healthy growth. But there is one exception. Its forecast for jet fuel went down because of international travel restrictions. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries expects oil demand to increase globally as well. But even though oil is at its highest demand ever, major companies are still working on ways to become more green. Just ahead, tensions in Ukraine.
The U.S. is monitoring Russia's troop buildup along the Ukraine border. I'm Natalie Brand with what the White House and Russian president are saying about possible diplomatic talks.
The buildup of tens of thousands of Russian troops along Ukraine's border is fanning fears of a possible Russian military invasion in the coming weeks. The Biden administration says the U.S. and allies are preparing to react quickly to Russian aggression, while Russia's President Vladimir Putin is blaming the West for rising tensions. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
The United States reiterated warnings of serious consequences, including possible coordinated sanctions with allies should Russia invade neighboring Ukraine.
We are prepared to issue sanctions like you've not seen before.
The U.S. is also promising more assistance to Ukraine's military if Russia attacks. This video shows Ukrainian forces testing a U.S.-supplied missile system this week. The number of Russian troops has surged to roughly 100,000 along the border, further fanning tensions.
Administration officials believe Russia has not yet made a decision about whether to invade. The Russian president said any action it takes would be, quote, retaliatory, and has called NATO and the West aggressors.
The only aggression we're seeing at the border of Russia and Ukraine is the military buildup by the Russians and the bellicose rhetoric from the leader of Russia.
During a lengthy news conference, Mr. Putin repeatedly called for NATO not to expand or deploy weapons to Ukraine. He also welcomed plans for diplomatic dialogue with the U.S. as soon as next month.
We are working towards diplomatic talks. There have been proposals put forward by the Russians. Some we would agree with, some we certainly wouldn't agree with.
Russian President Putin said those talks will take place in Geneva, but the U.S. stresses there is no agreement on a specific time or place. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken today discussed concerns over Russia's military buildup along the Ukrainian border with NATO's Secretary General. A statement describing the call added, "The alliance remains steady for meaningful dialogue with Russia while standing united to defend and protect allies." Up next, when you own a Christmas-themed business, what happens when the Christmas season ends? We'll get the answer from the Christmas shop in Pittsburgh. Fort Scott man is really into Christmas. John Willis has a beautiful Christmas light display that he loves sharing with neighbors. And today it was a bit more of a formal gathering, complete with hot cocoa for folks who drop by, made possible by sponsors.
It comes down to just for the community. Everybody trying to do something for the community. See, I'm Sawyer Automotive, and I sponsor it. In Bourbon County, Cars this year stepped up and helped us with the cups and helped sponsor it as well. It's not about it's not about one place or another. It's about the community and doing something so everybody has something to do.
This is the second year Willis has put on this light display. In just 3 days, Christmas is going to be over. Some folks will pack up their trees and prepare to ring in the new year, and many Christmas-centric businesses will shut their doors. We caught up with the owners of Pittsburgh's Christmas shop today to find out what the end of the season means for their business, and they told us that the off season is the time they spend preparing for the next holiday season.
We talked to our current suppliers. Matter of fact, we have an appointment in January set up to go to one of our suppliers and buy new product. So we're constantly looking for new suppliers. We don't want items that are Walmart or that type of items. We want unique items for our customers, so it's just finding the right vendors.
The Christmas shop closes for the season tomorrow at 3 p.m. They'll reopen Labor Day weekend 2022. More Americans are traveling for the holidays this year compared to last year, and if you're among the millions who will travel, well, experts say now is the time to secure your house. Jen Sullivan has 5 things to do before you leave home for the holidays.
If you plan to travel over the holiday season, you're not alone. According to AAA, more than 100 million people will hit the road this holiday, and security experts say an empty home may be an invitation for burglars.
The number one way that they're breaking into houses these days is that if the car is in the driveway and it has a garage door opener in it, all they have to do is break a window and they can just access that garage opener.
Here are 5 tips to make sure your home is safe and secure while you're away for the holidays. Number 1, keep the outside tidy. Don't let your mail or newspaper deliveries pile up. And if it snows while you're away, arrange for someone to shovel your driveway.
In my years in law enforcement, we actually had burglars that would show up to houses and they'd intentionally shovel the driveway. But while they were doing that, they were actually breaking into the house.
Number 2, tell your neighbors to keep an eye out on your house and let them park in your driveway to make it look like someone is home. Number 3, set up timers for your indoor lights so that they come on and off at different times of the day. Number 4, consider installing motion detector lights in the back of the house and in the driveway.
it just is an uncomfortable feeling for an intruder to all of a sudden be lit up like that. It just makes it seem like they're there.
And finally, call your local police department and ask if an officer can drive by your home periodically and make sure everything's okay. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Another idea is to put up a sign that says, "Smile, you're on camera." Experts say that even if you don't actually have a camera, the sign is a huge deterrent for would-be burglars. Still ahead, the Omicron variant is altering holiday plans for Americans. We're going to have more on that and the new pill approved to fight against COVID-19.
Prearranged.
With the clock ticking down toward the Christmas holiday, the new Omicron strain is threatening to force alterations to the plans of many. All 50 states now say they have infections. Businesses are closing, events and gatherings are being postponed or canceled, and governments are implementing new guidelines. Jonathan Seri has more.
Merck's antiviral pill molnupiravir received emergency use authorization to treat infected adults at risk for developing severe COVID-19. It did not perform as well in clinical studies as Paxlovid, a competing drug from Pfizer that reduced hospitalizations in high-risk patients by nearly 90%. The FDA says Merck's pill should be given to patients who are unable to receive other authorized treatments, but agency officials stopped short of stating a preference for Pfizer.
It is a question of availability, but it's also a question of appropriateness of the patient for the specific drug.
Both prescription drugs, which patients can take at home, are expected to be effective against the Omicron variant, but initial supplies will be limited, with Pfizer expecting just over 250,000 treatment courses in January and Merck expecting around 1 million. Similar scenes unfolded at COVID screening sites around the country. In addition to testing before holiday gatherings, the CDC strongly recommends booster shots, but is yet to add them to its definition of full vaccination.
We're looking at the definition right now, and more to come there. But just to be very clear, our recommendations are to get boosted.
California has now joined New Mexico in making booster shots mandatory for healthcare workers.
We recognize now that just being vaccinated, fully vaccinated, is not enough with this new variant, and we believe it's important to extend this requirement to getting that third dose.
Today, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio announced New Year's Eve celebrations in Times Square will be scaled back to allow for social distancing, and everyone will be required to wear a face mask. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
The Oklahoma Emergency Response Team is headed to Arkansas to help with tornado recovery. Now, you might remember back on December 10th, Arkansas was one of several states impacted by a massive tornado outbreak. More than 90 people died in that outbreak. The response team that has responded to flooding in Miami, hurricane relief in Houston, and to Joplin following the 2011 tornado is headed for Truman, Arkansas.
I'm blessed enough to be able to do this, so why can't I give back? If I was in the same situation, I would hope and pray that there was somebody else there to provide for me also. And it's just, when you go and you see these people in their hardest moments, it makes you, feel the most blessed.
The emergency response team will go to Truman on January 8th and 9th. They're seeking donations such as toiletries, water, extension cords, work gloves, and boots, and more. No clothing items. An assistant fire chief with the Boone County, Missouri Fire Protection District is dead following a series of crashes on Interstate 70. Assistant Chief Bryant Gladney had responded to a non-injury accident near Columbia, Missouri. Gladney arrived to divert traffic when a tractor trailer hit his car, an ambulance, and the truck involved in the initial accident. Gladney was pronounced dead at the hospital. The 58-year-old was a 30-year veteran first responder. A bit later, we'll look at the factors that could increase the risk of a fatal case of COVID-19.
Experience. Not bad for us today. Temperatures right around 60 degrees. A lot of clouds and very windy, but it gets windier as we go through the next few days. Expect record highs on Christmas Eve. So that means no white Christmas. A little too warm. We're going to go into the upper 70s. Do you have a system on Sunday? Numerous systems next week. Still watching for possibility of snow late next week. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. Look at all the warmth of December. All these red days, days above average. We're going to continue this trend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're going to stay above normal as we are going to get some colder air in here, but it's going to take several days. Nice shot outside. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo on the west side of Seneca. Temperature is pretty much at our overnight low. We're kind of holding low to mid 50s. We'll start to actually rise a bit as we go toward dawn. Those southerly winds will start to pick up a little bit more, and that in return is going to help our temperatures warm up. But a south wind still at about 10 to 20. In fact, these will increase a little bit later on tonight. 7th range line currently outside sitting at 55, south wind 16, humidity a little bit high at about 80%. And we do have a lot of clouds, nothing underneath the clouds, so we are staying dry. And this is kind of the beginnings of storm systems heading in our direction. You can see this system out across the western third of the country. This is going to blow on by. It's not going to do much for us besides clouds, but it is the beginnings of systems building out toward the west. So let's go ahead and break it down for you tonight. A lot of clouds, actually warm near 60 by morning. We climb through the 60s, lower 70s by noon, mid to upper 70s during the afternoon, pushing 80 in our western counties. Here's your day planner for you. 58 to start, 72 by noon, high temp 76. South winds 15 to 25 gusts are going to be higher than that. As we go into tomorrow night, we'll see the clouds sticking around, a few showers, northern counties. Here goes that system right on by. Cold front drags in, but still, we're going to go into the 60s by the time we head into Christmas Day. Also very windy. If you're going to warm up this much, you got to deal with the wind. So winds gusting 40 to 45 tomorrow, which is kind of crazy, but that is what we are going to see. All right, next storm system moves in on Sunday. Rain chances, passes on by, right back in on Tuesday. Arctic air tries to push in and it just kind of hangs out to our north. So if it can hang close enough to us when we get our waves in late next week, then we may have rain possibly over to snow. Something we want to watch for, but we'll focus on that next week. All right, 76 tomorrow, 62 Saturday, 68 on Sunday. Kind of up and down all next week, but the bottom could really drop out right at New Year's. So we'll kind of keep our eyes on that.
Yeah, the bottom might drop out, but that floor is already pretty high. So
yeah, that's true. That is very true.
It's going down to, minus 20 or something. Thanks, Doug. Coming up in sports, Kansas City Chiefs get a big name back from the COVID list. Plus, the Neosho Wildcats prepare to host next week's Holiday Classic basketball tournament. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Neosho Holiday Classic returns to Neosho High School next week with games beginning on Tuesday. This year there are 8 girls teams in the field and 16 boys teams split into 2 brackets. The defending champion East Newton Patriots are the lone local team in the gold bracket. The black bracket features McDonald County, Monette, Lamar, Cassville, and the hometown Neosho Wildcats. Neosho feeling pretty good heading into the tournament, winning 5 of their first 7 games on their schedule, including a 30-point win over Cameron Wednesday night in Kansas City.
Yeah, we're 5-2. We've played well. We would like to have won a few more, but you're right. Coming into the home tournament, it's always fun to play in front of your home crowd, and hopefully we win first couple of games, to get in that winner's bracket and get a chance to play in another championship game like we did early in the season. I think that's a good experience, especially moving into January and conference play.
You can check out the brackets for the Neosho Holiday Classic in this story on KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, this week has been mostly bad news for the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to COVID-19. Today, though, there's a little good news. Defensive tackle Chris Jones returned to practice today after a week on the COVID list. Now, the Chiefs face the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. Right now, they still got some big-time offensive weapons on the COVID list, including wide receiver Tyreek Hill, tight end Travis Kelce. I still don't know if those guys will be back in time for Sunday, and if they're not, it'll just be time for some other guys to step up because the last 3 games, pretty big ones.
I tell you what, there's going to be a whole lot of Kansas City Chiefs dressed up out there with uniforms. You'll just be missing those 2 particular players. Adam, you know how we do things. Next man is up. we take a tremendous amount of pride in making sure that our guys are ready. We have a great coaching staff, all right, that are smart coaches that have built relationships with the people that are in this building. These guys are looking forward to that opportunity if presented. And the thing about it, they're fired up for it. So we're looking forward to it. Like I said, the next man up, when it's all said and done with, it's still the Pittsburgh Steelers. We got to go out there and play at a high level.
The Missouri Tigers finished up the football season last night in the Armed Forces Bowl in Texas. Now, Mizzou lost to Army on a last-second field goal, falling 24-22. Now, the Tigers had a 16-7 lead at halftime. Army outscored them 17-6 in the second half to win it. Now, last night obviously did not go how Missouri planned, but the season as a whole wasn't a bad season, and the players are looking forward to what the future brings for the program.
I think we all believe in the coaches. I think that people are starting to buy in. I think that's the main thing. We need people to buy in, and I think we've been doing that. And so, I think it's only up from here.
I've had a great time. I'm forever grateful to the coaches and my teammates and the fans. Obviously this isn't how I wanted to go out, but, I do need to give credit. I'm proud of some of the things we did this year. I think that we showed a lot of fight. I'm a Mizzou Tiger at heart, and I'm really excited for what their future looks like.
And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after the break.
COVID patients who also suffer from high blood pressure, obesity, or diabetes are much more likely to die from the virus. An international study by the Mayo Clinic examined records from 46,000 patients in 26 countries and found patients with the symptoms associated with metabolic syndrome, even mild obesity, were 30% more likely to be hospitalized for COVID-19 and 20% more likely to die. More than a third of all Americans have high blood pressure, obesity, or diabetes connected with metabolic syndrome. How prepared healthcare workers are to treat COVID varies greatly depending on training and financial factors. PLOS One studied workers in 57 countries and found doctors and nurses in countries with less wealth were less prepared to fight COVID. Women also ranked lower on preparedness tests. Experts say more work needs to be done to make sure healthcare workers' training is equitable across genders and backgrounds. People who work with formaldehyde are at risk for cognitive impairment later in life. That's the finding of new research published by the American Academy of Neurology. Nurses, carpenters, cleaners, and many factory workers use formaldehyde in their jobs. Exposure was found to raise the risk of critical thinking and memory problems by 17%. Formaldehyde has already been linked to certain cancers. Christmas will come without a beloved family member for a Republic, Missouri couple who lost their son to suicide. Tonight, reporter Michael Van Schoik shares their story and their message to families dealing with mental illness.
Grief can come in waves, and Tristan Shaw's family has felt this firsthand over the last several months, even more this week as Christmas approaches.
Just out of the blue, it hit me.
These are Tristan's parents, Jason and Linnea. Their home is decorated all merry and bright, but the two admit the holidays feel a little off this year.
Part of you just wants to withdraw, and then the other part, you want to interact and make new traditions. You want to honor your loved one.
Those waves of emotion can sneak up sometimes, but Jason says deep down, he feels like it's all for a reason.
I hold on to that hope because I know that that's my son, and he's just, reaching out and letting us know, man, I'm watching over you.
And as he watches over them, the Shaws also try to keep his memory by their side, like this memorial Christmas tree.
I just try to be like, we've got this, bub, and just kind of like tell him, man, we love you and we miss you.
The Shaws say their holidays are all about supporting one another, which is exactly what Stephanie Appleby at NAMI encourages all grieving families to do.
I think it's important when you're a family to remind each other that you're there for each other and that you're a support system and that there's nothing that anyone can't come to you about.
The Shaws also say the holidays are a time to look out for others who might be struggling with depression.
Hug them, listen to their problems, and be understanding and not judgmental, but loving and caring, and just letting them know that, hey, I'm always here for you, and just it's okay to not be okay.
Again, that was Michael Van Schoik reporting. Up next, efforts to combat climate change and help reduce greenhouse gas emissions are spawning new modes of transportation. We'll show you how one man is showing off the possibilities. Efforts to combat climate change and help reduce greenhouse gas emissions are spawning new modes of transportation. Marianne Rafferty has a special look at kite boats and one man's journey across the Atlantic on a unique craft.
You've probably heard of flying a kite, but what about using one as a mode of transportation? Meet Francisco Lufina. Hello! He's embodying the spirit of sustainability, traveling roughly 4,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean on a boat pulled entirely by kites. Lufina ventured from Portugal to the Caribbean on this eco-friendly vessel, reaching max speeds of more than 18 miles per hour, with kites measuring in at 22 and 82 feet long.
We're moving about 12 knots.
And while surrounded by so much blue, Lufina's kite boat proved to be really green, with all the electricity needed to run the control systems powered by solar panels. He even got water for eating and cooking right from the ocean using a special pump.
It uses inverse osmosis, so it removes the salt from the seawater, and I can get 4 liters of water every hour.
But even though he was well prepared, it wasn't always smooth sailing.
There have been some problems with water getting inside the boat, inside the battery compartment, and also some kites have exploded.
Still, no matter how bumpy the trip got at times, Lufina had some adorable sea creatures keeping him company along his way.
Look at what we have here. Flying fish.
Lufina was out to sea for a total of 25 days, officially arriving to the Caribbean island of Martinique on Monday. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with an extended look at the Willis Light Show in Fort Scott. Let's make it a great Christmas Eve.